Shift happens.
Welcome to this bonus episode of the Shift Happens podcast. In our latest episode, we featured an interview with the robotics expert and founder Alona Kharchenko. This interview took place in English at the Hinterland of Things conference in Bielefeld last week. For the podcast episode in German, we used an AI-generated voiceover, just like the one you are hearing right now. But we wanted to share the insightful conversation we had with Alona also in its original form. And this is what this bonus episode is about.
Alona Kharchenko was born in Ukraine and has been living in Munich for the past 10 years. She is the co-founder and CTO of Devantro, a Munich-based deep tech company specializing in building humanoid robots for the care sector. Alona studied applied mathematics in Kiev and later pursued a degree in robotics, cognition and intelligence at TUM in Munich. She founded Devantro in 2018 with her co-founder Raphael Hostetler. In our wonderful conversation with Alona, we talked about semi-automatic robots in the care sector, how elderly people engage with technology and the potential of AI in this sector.
And now, without further ado, let's dive into the original interview with Alona in English.
Alona, tell us about Devantro. What is your vision for the company?
Devantro is there to enable people to age in dignity in the comfort of their own home and in a caring company. And how we do it is by superpowering people with so that they can care for the loved ones 24/7 from anywhere else on this planet. And we are building robots for this, which are teleoperated humanoid robotic avatars that you can remotely control with your body.
I really love the word robotics. Did you come up with that?
Yes, and it's a registered trademark.
Cool.
Really? So
Yes.
robot bodies, so to
Exactly.
say.
It was very important to distinguish ourselves from the robot because it comes with a lot of bias and preconceptions. So that's why we want to say, no, we are not a robot, we are a robody, which is a robotic body.
So let's help our listeners understand how the robots actually work, because you rightly said there is a difference to robot. How do they work?
It looks like a humanoid robot. It has the head, it has two arms, and then a person puts on VR glasses and the person teleports their body into this robotic body. So you can see through the robot's eyes, which are the cameras. You can hear through the microphones and your voice is coming out from the robot body. So it's a Zoom but with a physical body. So
And the voice is the voice I'm really having like it sounds like me.
exactly.
Wow.
And on top of that, you have two VR controllers, pretty standard. And when you move your arms, your motion is mapped one-to-one to the robot body. Additionally, you can also move the body itself within space. So you have two joysticks and you can think about a go-kart. So you just push the robot around.
And why did you go for such a semi-automated approach? Because, of course, many people think of humanoid robots as almost automated. This is very clearly semi-automated. Why?
Because it's the fastest way to market and ultimately private homes. We are very far from autonomy. This is not happening in the next years, 5, 10, maybe more. We can make predictions about it, but with the robotic approach, we can already go to homes very soon. In fact, we have been testing in private homes already. Roboty lived with a person for 3 days in Pirmasens, Germany, and it took us half an hour to set it up. So we brought the robot, put it in the flat, and it was functioning. That's very unusual. And then because there is a human operator driving it, you can cover a wide range of activities and tasks and physical support, which is very important.
And what feedback did you get from the people in Pirmasens about their roboties, which kind of are also their roboties in a way?
Yeah, very, very positive. So with the lady in Pirmasens, it was one lady. She was 86 years old, and we spent 3 days with her. She was fascinated by it. In the end of these 3 days, we got a gift from her, which is the socks. So the robot now is wearing knitted socks from her. And she said that, oh, my socks are going to go see the world. So you can see there is already an emotional connection building because she gifted the socks. But it was very interesting to see. So the acceptance level overall, what you were seeing with elderly people is very high. It's the opposite of what their children tell us. So at this point, it's around 85% user acceptance that we are seeing. And we tested with around 40 individuals, including elderly people and caregivers.
So I have a 95-year-old father. He's living in an elderly care home, but in his own apartment. And there are several things I observe because when I visit him, which I do regularly, I go for walks with him slowly. And then sometimes he likes some support in showering. He likes some support in shopping, all these kinds of things. So basically what's happening with elderly people is that their care need is, one is internally and one is more like expanding to the external world. How do you integrate that?
Yeah, it's very important to not forget that once you want to provide care, it has to be all-around support. So you can't focus on one separate solution, say I'm solving this problem, because then the relatives need to take care about this million other problems. And the way we are approaching is it's a mixed approach with care services. So our customers are care providers, ambulante Pflegedienste, and we are collaborating with them to understand who is the right customer for Roboti. And it's a mixed model where you have the local caregiver and remote caregiver. So as you said, for showering, we will not be able to do that with robots also anytime soon, safety, security, certification, etc. So there is a real person coming in the morning, and these are the tasks that they love to do, the caregivers, the people. These are the tasks that make them profitable also because they're quite long and they can do it in one batch. Then what happens, usually they come second, third, and fourth time per day, which is a 2-minute giving medication or measuring blood sugar or some small things, checking in that the person is okay. And this we take over with the robot. So we free up space and time for the caregivers who come in person to do the job they love and make them more productive by taking over the small things, taking off compression socks, for example, as well. But additionally, there is somebody 24/7 there. So for the elderly people, it's also important, this feeling of safety, peace of mind, that there is somebody here who is looking after me. Same for their children. And we do it with AI copilots. So we are using AI for sensing the environment. For example, Roboti has a radar sensor integrated in the chest, and he can wirelessly sense the heart rate and the breathing rate of the person. And then the alarm is triggered to the real person. Hey, go check if there's something going on there.
You mentioned earlier the emotional bond that people already have with the roboties. And I'm very interested in how that comes about and how you've been observing it. For example, Roboti can reproduce over 60 facial features. How do people react to that? Is that part of why they begin to have this emotional bond?
Partially, I think, if we are now looking at each other's faces, so there is a ton of information that is carried during communication in the face of the person. And what Roboti doing is exactly showing your face. So in the VR glasses, there are cameras that are recording the motions of the face, of the muscles, and this is then translated in real time to the robot. And on the face of the robot, you see the avatar of my face, and it is animated just like when I'm talking. My eye gaze is also looking there, and this is helping to build this connection and understanding when you want to communicate an intention or a certain emotion or laugh. This is just helping to build the bond.
And what about people with dementia? Because they often fail to recognize even closest family members. Is it easier or more difficult with robots?
We are at the very early stage of this, so it's kind of an unexplored field, right? So we did initial tests with dementia, and it was in Tagespflege Tutzing. We had a group with 9 people, separated in 3, and there were different levels of dementia that we tested with. Also, same observation, very positive results. Out of 9 people, only 1 person said who had slight cognitive decline that they don't want to have the robot, and the rest 8 were very happy. One person asked, "Can I take it already to home today?" What we also saw is this compliance. So it's something that we did not think will be happening. My co-founder was still operating the robot, and he would show physical exercise. So the robot would move the arms in certain ways, and the group was instructed they have to repeat it. And everybody did it. And it doesn't matter how long, they are so into the robot, and they are looking into the guidance from the robot as well.
We know that there are some countries who have had more exposure to this kind of interaction with robots, right? For example, Japan is one that often comes up. What can we learn from use cases in other countries?
I think Japan is a very interesting example, and the reality there that commercially available care robots are not in Japan in everyday life. So to give you some statistics, in 2019, it was below 10% of caregiving providers that implemented care robots in any way. And in 2022, the survey showed of 440 care providers, less than 2% used care robots in homes. So the reality there is not better than in Germany. There has been a massive campaign from the government to tell people, hey, robots are cool, and there's a lot of advertising going into it. So if we look at the robots that everybody knows, is maybe Pepper robots, so the small plastic robot. And there are multiple studies showing that they have created more work for the care workers than they took away. So if you think about bringing Pepper in front, so first of all, you need to roll out the Pepper from the other room, put it in front, and then you start the program where Pepper moves the arms and places on. And they noticed what the older people started losing their attention. So they stopped following the Pepper robot after 5th time. And what the caregiver had to do is to stand next to the Pepper and copy the motions the Pepper is showing so that the people were engaged. So now you're taking away the agency of the caregiver to decide what to do. They need to be standing next to the Pepper. And there are multiple other examples in it. And it is a marketing tool. I have a colleague from studies who is a robotics engineer and the Asian startup building care robots, and they have deployed robots in Japan. And to quote him, it doesn't matter what the robot does, it's about prestige of having the robot. So the care providers want to position themselves to the people who are their potential customers. Hey, we are so innovative. We are caring about the people. Look, we have the robots, although they are not fully functional because autonomy is not there.
That's actually a great example to show how it's not supposed to work. So basically creating more work for humans by using technology is the other way around of what we expect. Speaking of expectation, if we jump 10 years ahead in time, what would be your vision about RoboCare?
I want to build robots people love and find useful, and that's what I spend my everyday time on. And I want us to coexist very peacefully and harmonically with robots, and where they accompany us in our everyday life where needed.
Yeah. Do you think the combination of robotics and the new language models that we've been seeing will help that vision?
Absolutely, yes. I love the advancements. It's fascinating how fast the field is moving. Every time you open the news, there is something coming up. And first of all, it's the communication interface, so the natural language that simplifies programming the robot, interacting with the robots. That is very, very good. On the other side, this is our visual language action models, where the robots can perceive and act based on the learning approaches that we have seen before. the famous make me a coffee example. Apart from that, what is very exciting is the diffusion policy, is where generative AI is applied to the action space of the robot. So you show the data set of possible actions, and then the robot dreams up how to solve the problem. So if I'm reaching towards the cup in front of me at the table, there are multiple trajectories that the robot can take. And this is helping to not to learn single trajectory, but adapt to your environment and be creative. So it's the same technology as stable diffusion, where you generate images. Here we're applying it to the motions of the robot.
Very interesting.
Alona, you were born in Ukraine, a country that is suffering from a war more than 2 years now. How do you look at your home country today?
I look at it as a country of heroes, maybe. Yeah, I have huge respect for everybody there who is fighting, and it is really every person. It's not just, I mean, we are talking about the front line, of course, who are there and dying for democracy, not only in Ukraine, but in Europe and the whole world. But also an average person is so drastically affected by what is happening. And when people ask me, well, is your family there? I'm like, yes. Are they in the East? Or is it okay? And it's not okay. Nowhere is okay. And my biggest concern now is energy. Just to give you some numbers, peak consumption in winter, last winter in Ukraine was around 18 gigawatts, and now 9 of that is destroyed. So we're missing 9 gigawatt of energy destroyed by Russia, and the scary scenario of sitting 20 hours without electricity in winter is not the worst case scenario. It's becoming a realistic scenario. So this is something that I will be also focusing a lot in the next months, how to prepare for winter and the energy outages.
You are also very actively engaged in the work of Munich Helps Ukraine, München hilft der Ukraine. What is the most important thing? You talked about energy. Anything else what we all could do to support?
Definitely. I think I have few options. So first option is to just go and click button to donate monthly, because we are planning our expenses multiple months ahead, and that just helps. Second option is donating your old equipment, for example, laptops. And I'm speaking about big companies. So what is interesting when people have 200 laptops to donate, that's something that is not used in their company. And this is something that's very much asked in Ukraine. So I'm running the project, which is part of the Safe Science UA. It is about helping scientists to continue their work, although within the context of war. And there we are also collecting expensive equipment like spectrometers, lab equipment, to give over to Ukraine. And I'm not talking about new, but something that is sitting on the shelf in your lab and then can go and be used somewhere else. So, and last but not least, I think it's very easy to forget what is happening, and maybe just subscribing to the Kyiv Independent on any social media channel that you are is helping to keep this afloat, because in Germany it's very dictated by the mood if they show Ukraine on the news or not.
We will include information on all of that in our show notes. We have a lot of respect for what you do for Ukraine, but also with Devantro. Alona Kharchenko, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting.
Shift happens.